We are canceling the show.
What?
Why? The algorithm felt it wasn't hitting the right taste clusters.
Taste clusters. It's been 12 hours.
I'm not the first or last person to say this, but Spectacular Spider-Man is my shit! 15 years later, this is still my favorite Spider-Man series, and honestly, the competition doesn't even come close.
Not babies!
If you ask me, this is still the most unique Spider-Man show to this day. The art direction, the 3 to 4 episode arc approach to storytelling, the really catchy theme song that I still blast in the gym as I think to myself, I'm really him! There's so much about Spectacular Spider-Man that just could never be duplicated. But this isn't another video meat writing the show for doing just about everything right, from the characters to the action. Instead, I'm choosing to reopen old wounds and revisit how the mouse took Spectacular from us way too soon. Because I haven't really seen a video tracking Disney's gradual sabotage of the series. Something that I witnessed before my very eyes as a kid and still have a pretty sharp memory of. Including how the final episode aired without any dialogue. Yes, you heard me right. And now we have some new information around the cancellation that makes my blood absolutely boil. Courtesy of Josh Keaton, who recently reprised his role as Spectacular Spider-Man in Across the Spider-Verse. But I'm assuming we all knew that, and if you didn't and I ended up spoiling that reveal for you, oh man, I'm sorry. Spectacular Spider-Man premiered in the United States on March 8th, 2008, via Kids WB, a blog that, towards the end of the first season, fused with 4Kids TV into the ultimate Saturday morning lineup. The CW 4Kids. What a terrible name. Now let me tell ya, as a hyperactive kid who could barely comprehend object permanence, I sucked at keeping tabs on those Saturday and Sunday morning lineups. I remember so many weekends where I barely caught the last hour of Kids WB or 4Kids. I was lucky enough to see the end of Shaolin Showdown before it hit Cartoon Network. It should have been Omi. But Spectacular Spider-Man caused me to get my shit together and learn the importance of alarm clocks. And by alarm clocks, I mean rigging my TV to come on at 6 in the morning with Live and Learn playing through Brawl at full volume. I was locked in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. with my Eggo waffles or bowl of cereal, ready to spend a half hour watching my favorite web-slinger save the city, while making his personal life exponentially worse in the process. He's just like me for real. I think the most important thing about the Kids WB era of Spectacular Spider-Man is that it was consistent. It aired at the same time every week in a pretty great time slot that accommodated kids who slept in or may have had something early in the morning like sports. They also rolled out promos for every episode that would air throughout the week, getting viewers excited to see Spidey face off with some of their favorite villains. Let me tell you, I thought I was watching peak TV when Green Goblin had his little arc in season 1. But then it felt like they pulled out all the stops, with the symbiote having a prominent role in the back half of the season, with Venom as the big finale. After season 1 wrapped up, they still reran the series each week with a full hour on the lineup. So if you missed any episodes the first time around, there were plenty of opportunities to catch up. The CW 4Kids knew what they had, and all the pieces were in place for this to be one of the most accessible and well-supported Spider-Man series of all time. All they had to do was match this energy for season 2, which little 10-year-old me was sure it would come out soon.
How long is this going to take?
Swing in with 3 back-to-back episodes of the Disney XD series premiere of The Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah, me. It all starts Monday, March 23rd on Disney XD. Yeah.
Attention, if you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma.
So after half a year of unexpected silence, it was announced on December 12, 2008, a year prior to Disney closing their deal with Marvel, that Spectacular Spider-Man would be switching networks, making the leap from Kids WB to the upcoming Disney XD, set to launch in February 2009. The plan was for season 1 to rerun on XD, with season 2 rolling out sooner rather than later. However, it became clear pretty early on that this plan would only hurt the show's relationship with its fans.
He stinks and I don't like him.
Due to factors in and out of Disney's control. But first, let's hear Josh Keaton's perspective on how Disney initially pitched their acquisition of Spectacular Spider-Man.
And they had initially said that they wanted to have us on their network on Disney XD, because it was a new network and they wanted it to headline the network or whatever. And they wanted it to headline the network.
They wanted Spectacular Spider-Man to headline the network. That is rich, because with the way they treated the series, you would have thought it was far from headliner material. However, before Disney XD even launched, something happened. Something that definitely threw a wrench in Season 2's success over in the United States. On January 11th, 2009, I stumbled across something that made my jaw drop to the floor. The first episode of Spectacular Spider-Man Season 2, comfortably divided up into 3 parts on YouTube. Real ones know that was how you got your fix back in the day. But how did this happen? Well, the answer was in plain sight, as it was pretty hard to miss the Teletoon logo in the corner of the screen. Canada began airing Season 2 ahead of the United States, don't you know? And for reasons that are pretty easy to figure out now, Disney didn't intervene. So the episodes continued to premiere week after week, getting uploaded onto YouTube hours after they aired. And sure, they would get taken down eventually, but the damage was already done. Even if you try to take down the episodes, you can't take down the discussion, you can't stop spoilers from spreading, and you can't discourage fans starved of content to wait for the season to air over in the States. Eventually? Obviously, my prepubescent ass wasn't going to quit watching premieres cold turkey. I was watching these episodes as soon as they were available. Every week, I'd be on the edge of my seat, eager to find out what was going to happen next. And can you blame me? Venom just bursted through the Daily Bugle and outed Peter Parker as Spider-Man, bro. Fuck whatever timing that mouse is on. By the time Disney XD launched, the season was already wrapping up elsewhere. Now, since this show is supposed to headline Disney XD, you'd think Teletoon would have lit a fire under their ass to blister Season 1 and get to Season 2 as soon as possible, right? Right? Wrong! Season 1 reruns aired out of order, all over the place on the network, including on Friday nights, which was known to be a death slot during that era of television. And Season 2 would eventually air at the very end of June. A little over a year since Season 1 wrapped up over here. Yikes. And to add insult to injury, they put it in a very awkward time slot, Monday nights at 7:30, which isn't the worst time in the world, but it's definitely a downgrade from that easy-to-catch Saturday morning slot. This isn't a matter of preference either. It was a pretty clear sign that Disney did not have the series' best interest in mind, given that the shows they did have confidence in aired their premieres on the weekend. Shows like Phineas and Ferb and Yin Yang Yo got Saturday morning premiere slots, and the aggressively mid Ultimate Spider-Man ended up airing on Sunday mornings a few years later. Disney XD had this pretty obvious pattern of airing shows they weren't confident in during the weekday. Other examples include the short-lived Aaron Stone, Motor City, and their run of Naruto Shippuden. Remember when that was a thing?
Now step aside and get a load of my brand spanking new high ninjutsu!
Now, to give Disney XD the benefit of the doubt, they were a new network trying things out. And I get waiting until summer to air new episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man because kids are out of school and thus have way more free time to watch TV. But I don't think that excuses the Monday night time slot at all. Especially because during summer, there was a pretty great chance I and other kids were outside and away from the TV during the weeknights. You could argue they wanted to experiment with their more mature action shows and air them later at night. But if that was the case, why not air it on Saturday nights or Sunday nights? I know at least one Yin Yang Yo episode got a Sunday night premiere, and back then, Disney Channel proper and competitors like Nickelodeon were premiering episodes on Saturday nights. Correction actually, most of Disney Channel's premieres were on Fridays, and that's because they had an absolutely stacked lineup and was available in way more households. So Friday nights didn't have as many dead slots as other channels. So again, how did we end up on Monday? It was a poor choice, no matter how you spin it. But given the circumstances, I think it was a poor choice they intentionally made, as Disney as a whole already had their eyes on Marvel Entertainment, meaning they could make a Spider-Man show without Sony's help. Now, remember what I said about Kids WB's consistency being an important part of the series' success there? Well, Disney XD's inconsistency definitely played an important part of the series' eventual downfall over here in the West. Because for whatever reason, halfway through Season 2's run on Disney XD, they put the show on a sudden hiatus. But keep in mind, the entirety of Season 2 already aired in Canada, so it's not like they ran out of episodes or anything, they just decided to put the brakes on it, not returning for any new episodes until October of 2009, basically 3 months. And because they loved rubbing salt in the wound, they moved it to a night that was arguably worse than Monday. Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Keep in mind, at this point, kids were back in school and got other responsibilities than try to keep up with Disney XD's messy schedule. Not me though. Math homework definitely came second to the cartoons. Sorry, not sorry to say. During the hiatus, it was announced that Disney was officially set to acquire Marvel Entertainment, which in hindsight, I doubt this unnecessary hiatus was much of a coincidence. Promotion also got marginally worse, as the first half of the season got topical promos for each individual episode, but the second half of the season got very little promotion, let alone any topicals. In fact, as far as I could find, and I dug deep, there are no promos for the second half of the season archived online, so I don't know if they promoted it at all. Reruns became practically non-existent at the time, existing only in the middle of the night or in the afternoon when kids are either still in school or just getting out of school. If you haven't figured it out yet, Disney did not follow through on their word to Keaton and the team behind the show when it came to it headlining the network. Around this time, word got out that a renewal would be dependent on Season 2's performance on the network, so of course fans did their part to tune in, even if they already watched the episodes online. Granted, ratings were tracked by that jank-ass Nielsen system, so most of our viewership didn't matter anyways, but that's besides the point. At this rate, things were already pretty bad. But guys, let me tell ya, you haven't seen the worst of it, because they gave Spectacular Spider-Man one of the worst send-offs of all time. I shit you not, the final episode aired without dialogue. I don't know what could have possibly happened, but only music and sound effects were audible up until the very end of Spidey's fight with Green Goblin, where it suddenly cut back in. And the premiere of this episode was paired up with the previous one, which aired just fine. So what the fuck, Disney? I was watching this in disbelief, knowing that this would be the nail in the coffin for the series. According to old internet forums, this issue only occurred on the standard definition feed, but given that it was 2009, I'd imagine a good chunk of households didn't pay for high def packages yet. At least speaking from my own experience, my mom didn't sign up for it until like 2012, but I'm actually curious. Comment down below when your household upgraded to HD feeds, if at all. Disney did eventually rerun the episode again as an apology to viewers for the mix-up, but it was far too late. The finale aired on November 18th, 2009. And a month later, Disney finally closed their deal with Marvel on December 31st, 2009, sealing the Spectacular Spider-Man's fate.
We were kind of aware that the show was not going to get picked up because they were really taking a long time to tell us. And they never told us it was going to be. They just didn't tell us it was going to be picked up. But then what ended up happening is that they started showing the show out of order. They never had it on the same time. They never did any promotion for it. So we're like, they're putting it on here to die, aren't they? And then when we didn't hear anything about it, we kind of knew, you know, they're probably getting rid of the show.
According to my middle school English teacher's favorite source, Wikipedia, on September 1st, 2009, it was announced that the television rights for Spider-Man were returned to Marvel by Sony. At the time, President of Marvel Animation, Eric Roman, further stated that no decisions have been made either way regarding the fate of the series. On April 13th, 2010, Newsarama reported that the series cancellation occurred just after the Walt Disney Company acquired Marvel Entertainment in December 2009. On that same day, Marvel announced that a new series loosely based on the Ultimate Spider-Man comic book storyline would air on Disney XD in the fall of 2011, which actually aired on April 1st, 2012. Spectacular showrunner Greg Weisman told IGN, "I've heard nothing directly from Marvel, but I think the Ultimate Spider-Man announcement makes it fairly clear that the Spectacular Spider-Man is over." Marvel Animation and Sony also commented on this to Marvel Animation Age, confirming that the series had ceased production. At the end of the day, Disney destroyed Spectacular Spider-Man because it was a Sony production. Since they just gained the ability to make their own Spider-Man animated series, why involve Sony and pay them to license Spectacular Spider-Man? Business-wise, it didn't make much sense to them. And as much as I hate to admit it, I do see where they were coming from. If only it wasn't replaced with a crock of shit! Josh Keaton's speaking role in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes would infamously get replaced with Drake Bell, who would go on and voice Peter in Ultimate Spider-Man. A casting that, didn't age well, you feel me?
Bell, can you hear the court?
I can, yes, Your Honor.
Very good.
I think the craziest part of all of this is that, at least when it comes to quality, it really wasn't worth canceling Spectacular. I mean, clearly Ultimate Spider-Man was a hit. Shit got 4 seasons. But neither it or its successor, Spider-Man 2017, came close to living up to Spectacular's legacy. Kids younger than me at that point may have ate it up, but I was burned from Spectacular's cancellation, and my nerdy little heart never healed from losing it. I'll give these two shows credit for introducing kids to other characters like, of course, Miles Morales, but that's the only bone I'll throw. I still think both shows are aggressively mid, and I say this as someone who watched a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man as it aired, waiting for it to get better. A day that never really came if you ask me. But again, I think those who watched it as their first Spider-Man show may feel differently. Spectacular Spider-Man was a once-in-a-lifetime show that is still worthy of a conclusion, though that's been very unlikely for 14 years now. But who knows? With Spectacular's appearance in Across the Spider-Verse, and Disney having a much better relationship with Sony after their little breakup in 2019, there could be enough interest to see a revival of some kind someday. But I'll believe it when pigs fly. Or when they swing from web to web and pull out a cartoony hammer out of thin air. Oh, holy sh!